Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton can be the second and third best player on a championship team. Zach, 60 seconds begins now.
It's obviously correct. This is. I mean, Larry Markkanen is a number one on a team that is going to challenge the 1 seed and push them to 7 games. So this is easily, you move him to the number 2 on the hierarchy. Oh my God, it's like you moved certain years of Dirk Nowitzki into the number 2 slot. Like that's a no brainer. Here's the thing about Colin Sexton. He was this scorer in Cleveland. Came to Utah, took a little bit of a dip, but became a better all-around player. So now you move him into the 3rd best player. This is how good Colin Sexton is, okay? And this is really important. The Utah Jazz social media put out a highlight of him about 2 weeks ago in which they mentioned him in the highlight, they mentioned his nickname, Young Bull, and then they put the horny emoji in there. That little purple devil face horny emoji. You type in horny, that thing's popping up on your phone. Like the phone, iPhone already knows.
Time. You can't finish the rest of your story. Dave, your 60 seconds begins now.
I honestly didn't know that was the horny emoji, but I will say this. Lauri Markkanen would be number 2 on a championship team. I do think he's that level of player, and I agree with everything he said about being a number 1 on this pretty good team. Colin Sexton, I don't think is number 3 guy on a championship team. He's a very good player, and especially offensively. But I think your 3rd best guy has to be more of a 2-way guy. And I think Zach would probably agree with me if we weren't doing this particular exercise. You need a guy who can defend more. Lowry, he holds up. He does okay. Colin Sexton dies on screens. I mean, it's still going to be an issue for him. Part of him is just physical. He's a little bit too small. And we know small guards in the playoffs, that becomes a problem. He'd be picked on. So I think your number 3's got to be a little bit more robust, especially if he's a small guard. He's got to be able to defend better. But, I mean, I like Colin Sexton as a player. I think he's your 4th guy. Man, that's a great 4th guy. 5th guy, even better.
Time. All right. To start this debate, Dave, I want to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying there's nobody in the association that you could pair with these 2 players where, you feel comfortable seeing them in the NBA Finals?
Okay, see, now that's different. That's a different question. Okay. Because I could pair them maybe with Jokic, which I think is going to be argued here soon, and it might not matter that Colin Sexton isn't that good of a defender. It really depends on the other couple guys. So if Colin Sexton is your 3rd best player and your best player is Jokic, I don't even think Giannis. I think Jokic because Colin Sexton can play off of him and his passing. Embiid, maybe, although his playoff failures we know quite well. If it's Jokic, yes.
That's it.
They could win a title.
There's nobody else.
I mean, it gets to the point where you need to pair him, in my opinion, with a hub, an A1 hub who can play both ways. And that's Jokic. And there really isn't anybody else. I mean, Embiid, yes, I would put him just below Jokic as a guy I would trust in that situation. But otherwise, if it's even if it's Giannis, I think your 3rd guy needs to be a high-end playmaker who can guard.
I could not disagree more. I can name 5 guys.
Name them.
Jokic for 1. Absolutely solves all of Embiid's issues in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Butler. Dude just produces finals appearances. Kawhi Leonard. Healthy Kawhi Leonard. That you're marching through. And then here's one. How much firepower have we seen around Steph Curry where it's unstoppable? You put Steph on that team, you put those 2 guys around Steph instead of whatever Klay Thompson is now, whatever Andrew Wiggins is now, that team is elevated to being a title contender instantly.
I don't think Colin Sexton is seeing the court with Steph Curry very often.
Jordan Poole did.
He can't guard enough.
Jordan
can't guard enough.
He won a title with Jordan Poole.
With Andrew Wiggins and with Draymond Green and with Kevon Looney playing defense behind those guys. And unfortunately, Utah doesn't Utah in particular doesn't have those guys. So you would have to stack your team
Walker
to be
Kessler,
able to have that, right?
Great rim protector already.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to learn a bunch, but great rim protector.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn, phenomenal defender. Mm-hmm. Very disruptive.
2 zeros on offense. I mean, this is just you're never going to build a perfect team if Colin Sexton is your third best player. And not
Yeah.
that any team has got to be perfect to win a title. We know that.
I mean, we
But
haven't
I
seen
think
Kevon
Colin
Looney do
Sexton's
anything on
special.
offense since high school, but yeah,
Dude,
that's
Kevon Looney fell off a cliff, and it's very unfortunate for me. I've been sad all year about it. But yeah, I think Colin Sexton is a very nice player, but third on a title team, it would be a bit much. I mean, just think about some of the third guys on Chris Middleton was the third guy, in my opinion, because I think I'd rank Drew higher than him. But Chris Middleton, I mean, that's an all-star. I mean, is Colin Sexton going to make any all-stars in his career?
yeah, but you played Chris Paul. Kind of destined to win if you're going to play Chris Paul in a playoff series. Played Monty Williams. If anyone can outcoach Monty Williams in a playoff series, it's Mike Budenholzer. The flawed situation.
Do you guys think there's a world where Lauri Markkanen could be the number one on a championship team, or does he have to be the two?
Are we talking number one player, number one option? Like, because
number one overall player
in a world. Okay.
It's hard. You can't win a title without a top 6 or 7 guy. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Because even if you put him with like Bam Adebayo, right? Super talented, does everything on both ends of the floor. Is that enough to raise it? Because if you were talking like just like number one option, and this is kind of like a cheat answer. I was like, well, like think about like if Dwight Howard in his prime is on that team. He's not the number one option, but then again, like he's the number one player, right? Obviously. So no, I don't think he could be, but I actually think he's kind of like knocking on the door. I don't know if he's ever gonna kick that door open, but I think he's like Lauri Markkanen is really good.
He's so
good. He's so good.
I try to think about, Seth Partnow obviously does the tiers for us.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot in that sort of range. He's got himself in, I think he's like a tier 2 guy, right?
Yeah.
Like not a number 1. I think he's a number 2 in his best role today. This doesn't mean that 2 years from now, he's not a number 1. When you look at how he's progressed, and the biggest thing for me is his body. Like he's just done so much work to his body. He did that time in the Finnish army. I think he lost a little bit too much weight there, but he put it back on pretty fast. He looks so lean and strong. Yeah. I'm with you. I think he could potentially be a number 1 offensive option, right? But I don't think that he can be your best player.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, like we call a lot of plays for him, but our best player is whoever. I think that's what Utah. This is what Utah's entire game plan is at this point. Like they struck gold with Lauri. Colin Sexton's on a pretty good contract when you look at how productive he is. These guys are on deal. I mean, Lowry's going to get a new deal here soon, but these guys are on affordable contracts. They have so many assets. If someone is disgruntled, Danny Ainge could make a pitch to them, say, "Hey, look, man, give us a year, give us 2. Maybe we could win a title, and we'll take care of you." But also, I mean, Zach, you lived in Salt Lake. You attended games. I mean, you know how they are there. I mean, there's a good chance that the next, the top of the West here in the next few years is like OKC, Minnesota, Utah,
San Antonio.
Dallas, right? San Antonio, and it's these smaller markets. But the pitch to them is, first of all, the NBA markets you throughout the world. You don't have to think about, oh, I got a weird thumbs up there. Thanks, Apple. That was weird. But we're going to market you around the world. So market doesn't matter. But what does matter is your local market, and you can be a legend here. And Utah, they'll do it. Hey, come on. You're a top 10 player. You're going to have a max contract for the rest of the time you're here. We're going to make sure you have a 5-star experience. Also, and you're going to play with Lauri Markkanen.
You're in a Delta hub. Easy to get out of town if you want to go travel.
That's true. It's a short flight to LA.
Short flight to LA.
Beautiful hiking, not far away too.
Dave,
we're trying to get hired by the Utah Jazz. We're going to be the. Let us make your free
I'm pretty sure
pitch.
the Jazz won't hire me at this point. I'm pretty sure.